What's up, guys? It's Jason with Rosati Strength Systems, and I have a very special video today. This video is going to be a little bit different than my other ones, where I was like kind of more like educating on like a specific like fitness topic, and I had like a little sheet up in front. This is going to be more of like a rant style video, and I'm just going to be talking, and it's not something that you really have to look at. So I think videos like this are perfect for like in the car or just in the background while you're doing other things. So maybe you can clean up your house a little bit, or you're driving to that destination. This is the perfect video to be listening in the background. What I want to do in today's video is go over like scientific approach to motivation, because one of the things that I've been told by clients for my years of training people is going to be like this lack of motivation that people have. So when like a new person comes to me, a lot of the times they're telling me like, oh, like I wanted to do XYZ like diet or workout or whatever, and they say that they're not motivated. And I was kind of in that position for a really long time. I mean, I was an overweight kid, and it took like a specific event, and I kind of want to share that story with you and kind of explain like how it is that we actually develop motivation to do things. And so we can use those concepts of understanding motivation to kind of reframe our thinking and be able to put ourselves in a situation where we're winning better. We have like a better routine set up, and kind of like how motivation really works in a realistic way. So for me, what happened to me, like when I first started like my fitness journey, was I was, like an overweight kid. I was nicknamed Beef Patty. That's what everybody would call me in school. And, you know, obviously I didn't always have that nickname, but when I got that nickname, that's when it started to hurt. And then, I was always kind of feeling like this, like little bit of self consciousness, but I wasn't really aware of it. It was like an insecurity that I wasn't really aware of. And it wasn't until I went to like the doctor's office, and they weighed me, and I was 210 pounds at 15, and I was like 5'8", but I was all fat. I had no muscle. I was no athlete at all. My lifestyle was literally coming home from school, playing RuneScape for like 6 to 8 hours a day, and just eating a bunch of junk food. And I felt like absolute trash. But I didn't really have an understanding of it, right? So like, how am I supposed to have motivation to change something or do something if I don't even know that I'm really should be or supposed to be doing it, right? So at that point, I had probably zero motivation because I wasn't doing anything. I had zero motivation, but I wasn't even aware of the fact that I was unmotivated. Like, that's how unmotivated I was. So if you clicked on this video and you're thinking to yourself, like, well, I just need more motivation to get things done, you at least have a little bit of motivation, and we can start to crank that up. Hopefully by the end of this video, you're really motivated to start getting things done, and you can learn how to constantly motivate yourself through just self-thinking and self-talk. So what then happened was I was 210, and the doctor told me some like weird statement. It was like, you need to maintain this weight up until you're 21 in order for you to be considered healthy. Like, damn, like that's crazy. Like, I he didn't even tell me to lose weight. He said maintain my weight for 6 years up until I was 21 in order for me to be considered healthy. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, so, obviously that was very disappointing to hear, and it was just like this weight and this like fear of like, what path am I walking down? I've seen members of my family being overweight and heavier, and I was really worried about being in that position, and I felt like I was just heading down the wrong path, right? And that's kind of where my motivation started to creep up a little bit. And so my brother was actually starting P90X, and he would, him and like his friends would like do like different types of diets and stuff like that. And so I started to kind of get in with him. So I would do like these P90X like home workouts a few times a week, and I would try to like eat healthier and stuff. And like the typical approach that most people do, try to move more, eat less, right? And I started to see some results, and it was an awesome feeling. I started to get really hooked on this idea of like working out and eating healthier, and like what type of benefit it can give you. Now, what then ended up happening is this will start to kind of go into like what the second wave of motivation is. I lost like 20 pounds from doing those things, but it just wasn't working. And after like 8 months, I didn't lose like any weight. I maybe lost 5 pounds after almost like a full year of working out, trying to eat healthier and all that. And it's like, well, that was really demotivating because I was putting in all this work, but I really wasn't seeing any of the results, right? And that's when this second wave of motivation hit, where I started to discover some of the things that I've talked about in other videos, like if it fits your macros, flexible dieting, like how to actually lose weight. Like I started to become more educated on the topic, and I started to kind of paint a picture of more of what my future life could look like. Like, like, okay, I'm eating healthier, I'm working out more, like that's good. But what if I really started to take this a little bit more seriously? Nothing crazy. You don't need to work out 7 days a week. You don't need to be on the perfect diet 24/7. But I started to think to myself, well, what could I accomplish if I really started to do the right things? And I started to, instead of like being like, oh, I need to crank down on myself more. Like I need to make sure I'm exercising every single day. I need to make sure that I'm not eating any sugar or any breads. Like I had to be perfect. Like that thinking wasn't fueling me. That was my thinking that I had for 9 months, right? That's what a lot of people think. Like, it's like, oh man, what's wrong with me? I can't follow like my P90X workouts. Like, I can't do low carb. Like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not able to do this? What is wrong with me? I am a bad person. We start to get into this negative self-talk loop. And so what I started to do differently was when I started to kind of see like, what if I started to do the right things, and I started to educate myself more. I started to understand like the law of thermodynamics. I started to understand progressive overload with strength training and how important those things are. Started to realize how important it is to like keep track of your calories, but also allow yourself to be a little bit flexible and not be super strict on yourself, because when you're strict, you're usually going to tend to binge or cheat, because that's just how we are as people, and that would continuously what happened. Like that's why I wasn't able to see any more results, is because I would try to be strict on myself, and then I would binge, and then I'd be in like a negative feedback loop, and that cycle would repeat itself. That's like that yo-yo cycle that so many people are on. And when I started to really educate myself on it, I started to become motivated in my future self. And when that happened, I started to do more of the right things. And then when I started doing more of the right things, I started to see results a lot faster, and it wasn't as miserable. And I felt like, yes, like I did this thing, like I got over this hurdle. And I started to feel really good about myself. And from there, the last like 25, 30 pounds just came off real easy, came off after like 16 weeks of just staying consistent. I didn't even feel like I was dieting that much. And I just started to see better results. And this is that motivation that now kind of sticks with me, as I'm always going between these two things I'm about to tell you. These two things are some stuff that I remind myself when I don't feel motivated, when I don't want to wake up and go work out, when I don't want to go home and cook, and I just want to hit some high calorie fast food on my way back home. There's two things that will motivate you, and you might have been able to pick them up from my story. But the first thing is that you need to have something that you are afraid of. You need to have a version of yourself that you are absolutely terrified of going into. So for me, it was that realization when I was 210 pounds and I needed to maintain my weight for 6 years. This like weight hit on me. Like, where am I heading? Not just about where I am at right now, but where am I heading? And I started to imagine myself like 280 pounds, and like I couldn't walk. Like just like weird thoughts like that. And I started to see, I got really fearful of where I could be if I kept going down this path. Right. And that's what you sometimes need to confront. Like a lot of people don't like to go into like those negative things about ourselves or those insecurities. When you become very aware of what's causing your insecurity. So for me, it was like my health habits and my weight. And I knew I needed to do something about it. That's one part of motivation. And that's what initially got me started. But it wasn't until I started to see where I wanted to be. So I was imagining myself at 280 and couldn't walk and couldn't do anything. And then after I started to see a little bit of results, I started to think to myself, what could I do? what could I accomplish? And I started to imagine myself as like shredded, athletic, fast, strong, admirable, a leader, someone that people want to look up to and to listen to for advice and to mentor, a mentor. I started to imagine myself as the worst case scenario, and then I started to imagine the best case scenario. And what that does is it elicits like an exciting feeling where you're like, well, I'm going away from this, right? So that's your fear, right? You need that fear. You need that like worry of where you're going because you're like, okay, this realization, I'm not going the right way. And a lot of people, that kind of happens like, I'm doing the wrong things, but they don't look at themselves at what they could be in the future if they really do the things that they're supposed to be doing. So you start to view yourself as what you could be. And that's exciting and it feels good. So that's what then gets you to start putting in action, right? Like going to your workouts, going to like eat right. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the trick to this. If you're currently have those two pieces of motivation and you are inhibiting, like, there is some fault of you're not putting in action, you're skipping workouts, you're eating the wrong meals, but you know what you're afraid of and you know what you want, but you're still not putting in action, then what you need is education and information. And specifically, you need information that is specific to you and to your situation. So if you're online right now and you're struggling to follow a diet, you're on this yo-yo diet, and you're just seeing people online like, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this, like that's not helping you. Clearly, it's not helping you. You need to seek out something that is more reputable, something that is more like understanding. And you need to start to learn more. You need to reach out to a friend who's in really good shape and trains people and see what they have to offer. And don't take everything word for word, but see what they offer to you. Maybe they have a different way of doing things. Like for me, like I was in that yo-yo diet and then I started to see people that were in really good shape. They were like, no, you don't need to eat like a super strict diet. Like you can fit pizza into your calories. You can go out on the weekends and still be to your health goals. And when you allow that flexibility into your lifestyle, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to put in the action. So if you're not putting in action, that means that you don't have any clarity. You're not seeing what you need to do clearly, because if you knew what it was to do based off of your own schedule, it would be a lot easier for you to do. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. So you go to work. Most people work. Most people have to work. This is the case. You have to work, right? That's your thing. If I don't work, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not going to be able to support my family. I'm not going to be able to, I'm literally going to be homeless if I don't work. I'm not going to be able to literally do anything, right? So that's your fear. You fear that you're going to be homeless, and that's why you have to work. And then maybe you find some positive things from work. You're like, well, if I have to work because obviously I need to pay my bills and stuff. Well, let me try to take as much benefit out of it. Like maybe, it's not the best job, but it does pay my bills, and that kind of gives me like a little bit of like a at least I have like some security, right? Like this feeling of like positive, like what you want is that like security, you want to get this stuff done. It probably feels good to pay your bills on time when you know someone's not paying their bills on time. And you're like, I'm stepping up to be the person I have to be by working extra to pay for my kids, to pay my bills, to make sure there's a roof over my head, to make sure I'm well fed. Like you're working even though you might not want to, but you make that motivation kind of just comes automatically from the living situation. The fact that we need money, right? Well, maybe you need to implement that into your health. Maybe you need to think to yourself, well, I need to get healthy. I need to do these things. This is what's most important. I need to make sure that I'm healthy. I'm there. So what is it that you're most fear of? Maybe you're afraid that you're going to need a wheelchair and your kids are going to have to push you around. And what you want is to be able to play with your kids and to be able to have them look up to you. Maybe you're afraid that you're going to be like a bum that lives in like your mom's basement and it's just like a disgusting way to live. And you don't feel that very good about yourself and you inspire to get your own place, right? Like that's your motivation. You're like, I'm going to work extra hard because I want to get my own place and I want to get out of this situation. So you apply that same philosophy and thinking to your health and fitness. And if you're not able to see action, like if you're not able to go to work, then you need to find a different job. You need to find a different approach to your training, to your nutrition. Seek out others. Try to find an environment that's more positive and inducing to what you want to accomplish. So, what I'm going to be doing is on Monday, May 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be hosting a live weight loss workshop, and I'm going to be showing all my favorite ways that I like to keep my weight low, how I lost weight and kept it off with this flexible dieting approach, and to also kind of show you guys a little bit more of like the science behind weight loss, strength training, and like how to make this not a miserable process. That's basically my favorite thing to do, is to be able to show you guys. I want to be able to show you guys, not only how to get motivated and do the right things, but I want to be able to make this a process that's a lot easier. I want to show you guys how you can go out on the weekends and still like lose weight and abide to your health goals. I want to show you guys how you can work out like 3 to 4 days a week instead of 6 to 7 days a week and still see even better results that way. I want to be able to show you those things. And this is a completely free workshop. You don't have to pay anything. And if you can't make it live, then we will be doing a recording, and we're going to post a recording. And then I'm figuring out a way, probably going to be offering some type of complimentary like consultation with it, but there's going to be a pre-recording that you'll be able to view as well. So if you want to come to it live, or if you want to be sent the pre-recording as soon as it's available, all you need to do is just email me at rosatistrengthsystems@gmail.com. So it's the exact same lettering as what's in the YouTube channel. It's ROSATISTRENGTHSYS. I don't know how to spell systems. Guys, look at the fucking YouTube channel and type that into @gmail.com and fucking email me. Like, if you really want to get this done, like, let's do it. Like, so your action step for today's video is going to be, I want you to think about what you're most afraid of, and I want you to think about what you really want and start to piece those things together. And you're going to find that there's going to be this exciting feeling inside of you. This like motivation is going to come out, and that's your fuel, man. Now you just got to go put the work in. And if you don't know what work to do, then this is going to be your opportunity to get that extra help. So go ahead and send me an email if that interests you. Otherwise, I hope you just enjoyed the video anyway. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. It will help this channel grow. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.